All right, Ellis Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. So, been a while, hasn't it, guys? Been a while. I understand that I have been MIA, but y'all won't let me leave, will you? You won't let me stop doing it, which I don't mind. I don't mind. You guys just got to understand something. Unless I have someone cool to talk to or something, like I'm not going to talk about Marvel shit with you. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of other people for that. I want to talk to the more interesting aspects of film, music, you name it. And actually, I don't think that I'm going to let you down today, but if you guys know, I have actually had this gentleman on my show before. It's actually a shade under 3 years at this point since he and I last talked. We've kept in touch and dropped each other lines here and there as time's gone on, but he's actually been on the show before. The reason why I say that is because I'm not going to spend too much time going through his come up and where he started and all that, because if you want to listen to that, that is actually on the first episode, because we talked about his come up, and then that particular episode we talked about his work that he did on a graphic novel called Bottom Feeder. So I urge you to go check out that episode wherever you listen to your podcasts. As like I said, we're not going to do the whole background thing, and I just want to chat with the gentleman about stuff that I don't know. So I brought him on the show today because at the end of October, he released yet another 4-track EP that I
Oh no.
thought was fucking great. And it was called Starfields. And obviously, you can find Starfields wherever you listen to your albums, be it Spotify, YouTube, wherever. And that's actually been one of my go-tos over the last few months. If I'm not playing it at the gym, I'm playing it at work. I really, when I say this, I've probably played that EP no less than 20 to 25 times in the past couple months. So, like I said, let's cut the fat. Let's get this show rolling. And sir, I have been waiting to chat with you. I want to say I am so glad that you were able to join the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, the dog eat dog legend himself, Dave Neabore. How are you, sir?
Hello, Sean. Great to see you. So glad after 3 years we're back. I got my shades on for you.
Yeah, I told Dave earlier today. I said we're gonna go cool today, man. Every picture that I see with Dave, he is sporting his awesome shades. And I was like, man, I at least want to be half as cool as Dave is. So let's see if I can kind of get there with my own shades myself. So, sir, first of all, congratulations on another fucking great EP, dude. Like there's gonna be some stuff that you're probably not going to believe me when I tell you as we kind of go through this show, but I promise you it's true. I don't have time to fucking bullshit. I promise you. So, but in the interim, how have you been, man? It's been a while. I know you've been all over the fucking world, and I don't even know if I've left a 10-mile radius since we last talked.
Well, I have a very blessed life, and luckily, thankfully, the phone keeps ringing with opportunities. And post COVID, like nobody knew how life was going to be. We don't know if it's going to go back to the way it was, if it's going to change. So, like, it was a tough time. During COVID, when we were locked down, I think that's when I first met you and talked with you. We were just in an endless holding pattern. And then when that stuff ended, for Dog Eat Dog, it was like, all right, you got to get back to work, because we were in the middle of making an album before COVID. So we had to go back to Europe and finish it. And then, show offers started to come in and everything started going. And then, with my working on the Retro Inferno record, that was on the same thing with the Doggy Dog. It was basically on a hold. And then when COVID ended, it was get back to work. And so, like, there was just a big year and a half pause. But when that pause button was hit again, everything just came kind of flooding back. So I have been working on multiple projects, and finally we finished the Dog Eat Dog album, and we toured, for the most of the second half of 23. So I've been really busy up until about 6 weeks ago, and then finally got a vacation in, and now as soon as I'm finished with you, I'm going into the studio to record bass on a new Patriarchs in Black, which is like a metal band that I'm a little bit of a part of, a guest on. So yeah, I'm always doing something.
Yeah, like we were just talking, man. The grind truly never stops. And which is a good thing. Like I'm a firm believer keeping busy and stuff like that. But like you, like towards the end of 2023, if you wouldn't mind telling my audience, where all did you go towards the end of 23? I'm not kidding you, gang. This dude is everywhere.
On the last trip we did, which was like end of October to the end of November, which was our first official club tour promoting the new Dog Eat Dog Free Radicals record. That was Germany, Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, Austria, Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic. We were in Denmark and Norway, and so it was a real full European run. Um, and it was incredible. I mean, the response to our new record has been fantastic, and the clubs were packed every night. So you never know. You can't assume anything, and you can't expect anything. But when it works out, it feels really good. And we left that tour absolutely exhausted, but felt that it was a success. And we're going back to Europe next month for a couple of shows, and then in May we start up with like what I'll call the second half of the Free Radicals club tour.
Now, are you guys going to be doing that around here? Like anywhere, like maybe shit, dude, I'll fly to Jersey. I'll like, what would tell me?
Yeah, so like last year we did a quick little Washington D.C., New York, and Poughkeepsie little 3 show run. We may do something like that again. We just don't play that much in the US anymore because it's actually expensive for us to do US gigs. Our guitar player lives in Switzerland, so we got to fly him over. My singer and my drummer live in the DC, Maryland area, and I'm up in Jersey. So just getting together starts costing money. And it when in the US we just don't get paid the way we do in Europe. So it's kind of a little more difficult to play in the US, but we're hoping maybe at the end of April before we do the May run, we may actually put a little short string of shows together. We'll see what happens.
Well, I gotta be honest with you. The U.S. stinks anyway. You just go tour Europe, man, and see the sights. I've had it with these views, but that I would love to actually just get the opportunity to see you guys live. Maybe we'll just have to dip into the savings and go full on and just fly the fuck out, cross country. See you, man.
Well,
I would.
if you do that, you're VIP all the way. So consider it. If you're ever get the itch to go to Europe, we'll coordinate.
Fuck yeah, dude. See, I told you, this dude's a legend and just an all around good. I don't have people on that I'm kidding you. I get people that want to come on the show all the time, and it's really weird. Like, I don't have a lot of good qualities, Dave, but I do have this intuition of who I know I'm going to have a good time with on this show or just in life in general. Like, you kind of get to that age where you're like, you know what? I can tell your vibe just by the way you look, you talk, whatever. Dave's one of these guys. Dave is one of
Uh,
these guys.
I appreciate that. I work on energy with and vibe all the time. That's how I get through life these days. So I hear you loud and clear.
I wanted to tell you, you did something over the summer, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I was fucking jealous, Dave. You got to go for the start of season fucking 5 of The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. Sir, what the how the fuck with Fabio Frizzi? Like, how the fuck does that happen, sir?
Yeah, that was really one of the most surreal nights of my life. I just have to say again, I'm blessed, and that blessing comes from putting out good vibes, becoming friends with people, networking with people, making connections with people, and then you never know how those things sometimes come back. And this is one of those cases where, over the last few years, I have become friendly with Roberto, who is the bass player for Fabio's band, and we kind of hit it off. And I worked as a guest bass player on his project called The Horror Legacy, where they did these incredible covers with some ex members of Goblin and Fabio's band. And so we're just friendly. And when Fabio was asked to be on as a guest on the Joe Bob show, uh, Roberto just reached out to me and was like, "Hey, how would you like to come to the studio while we're there?" And he said, "Let me ask Fabio," and Fabio said, "Absolutely, have Dave come by." So I'm like, I'm not missing this opportunity. I mean, Fabio is a great guy. He's super nice. I love him. And I just was like, this is an opportunity that's too good to miss. So uh, when I got there, I was just like, I don't know what's going on or what to do. And the producers and the people who worked there thought I was one of the guests. So they're like,
It's
okay,
amazing.
here's your backstage, here's your dressing room. I'm like, I'm actually just a guest of Fabio Frizzi and his band. And they're like, oh, okay. So like everybody there like just was like talking to me like I was one of the guests, in the green room ready to go. So I struck up conversations with everybody. And then it was like, come on the set. And it was like I said, I left there like I couldn't believe that it just happened, and I felt so overwhelmed with excitement. Like I still think about it, and I can't believe it. And it was just even for me, I'm still a huge fan of movies and music, just like everybody else. Even if I'm involved in it to some degree, I love it, and I still fanboy out. And that night was just one for the books for me.
Oh, you lucky son of a bitch, you.
Yeah,
You are, man.
I felt lucky, and it was definitely an unexpected. But again, like I said, things like that happen when you make friendships with people. Things like that happen when you reach out to people and you have passion for things, and other people can see that. So Roberto knew how much I would love to be there, and he made it happen for me. So that's what friends do, and that's why that night's so special for me.
Oh, that was so amazing to see. And in a long, that had happened since the last time we talked. But then, and keep in mind, I wanted to keep things organic with you, and I didn't want to bring it up before we started chatting, before the show started. So that being said, if you can't say shit about what I'm going to ask you next, that's perfectly all fine. Fine. Let's keep the energy cool. If it's like a dark story or something, just like, nah, Sean, we probably really shouldn't talk about that. But like I mentioned in the intro, and Dave touched on, we actually kind of connected through a mutual publishing company called Aben Press, and Dave had done some of he did these soundtracks that go with the graphic novel, which I thought was fucking sweet to begin with. But in that time that we haven't talked, Dave, Sean actually up and sold Aben Press to Vinegar Syndrome. And I guess I talked to Steven Romano a little bit because him and I still keep in contact. And you talk about networking and just meeting cool people. Like me and Romano will, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving. It's just fucking wild, dude. And I just didn't know if you had any insight as to why that happened. And if you don't, that's totally all right. But what I guess I want to know going forward, are you going to have a part with some of their releases that they have on the docket to come out? Because I think your sound would definitely mesh with at least two of those graphic novels that are on the slate.
So Steven is really, in my eyes, responsible for my kind of newfound solo work, because it was his call asking me to do their zombie uh, sequel soundtrack. So it's not zombie, but it's the sequel called Fulci's Inferno. Um, and after doing that soundtrack for them, uh, I realized like, hey, I'm in a good position right now in this studio with Walt, my producer and engineer. Like, this is the place where I can start working on my own music. So he really kind of jump started everything by giving me that opportunity with Zombie. And then I did Bottom Feeder. Um, and then it really looked like the comic book company was not profiting. They just kept putting every dollar they had from every comic into new comics, and it was just a recycle of money. But after many years, they just weren't seeing any profit on it. And if you're in any business, even if it's a labor of love, at some point you've got to make ends meet with this, or it just drains you. And I think that Steven and Sean got to that point where they were just like, what are we going to do? We're putting out this incredible work, but it's just not reaching enough people and it's not profiting. And from what I understand, you know, Vinegar Syndrome kind of swooped in and said, we love this and we don't want to let it die. We're going to make you an offer to buy the company. And Steven told me that was a good deal, too good to pass up, and everybody was happy. And now they've got more money behind them, bigger distribution, and the ability to kind of revisit some of the old properties. And now, because of their uh, partnership with Ibon Press, they have access to their properties, which means they can turn a lot more movies into comic books now because they have the rights to them already. So I know it's great for the company, and I am still on board with them. So
Good,
I
good.
have already done more work for them that hasn't come out yet. So let's just say
Buddy, hush,
uh,
hush.
you'll be hearing brand new music uh, for a brand new comic book they have coming out called Diva Jackson. And
You,
I have been
dude, I
able
knew it.
to yeah, I have been able to read all 4 issues of the first wave, and it is absolutely mind-blowing comic book. And I was asked to create the main title theme for Diva Jackson, which I did. It's finished, it's done, and that will be available to hear when the first issue of Diva Jackson is released, I hope in the next 2 months.
Oh my God, I can't
It
wait.
will be most likely just a download card, but I will most likely put the track up on my Spotify to coincide with the. I've recorded more songs for Zombie. So the Zombie album is not dead and will be uh, making a reappearance with 3 bonus tracks on it.
Oh, I can't fucking wait. I knew it, dude. I knew that they weren't, well, I shouldn't say knew. I had hoped that they weren't going to kind of lose. Well, I know that the relationship with the fans, like especially with fans these days, like that, like you said, you're just kind of recycling money over and over again, and you're not really getting much profit. But I can speak for myself that I honestly would have been bummed if like, all right, so they do a new slate with Vinegar Syndrome, but then somebody else is doing, music for one of their graphic novels. I honestly probably would have reached out to you and been like, "Hey Dave, what the fuck, man? Like let's scratch and claw, let's petition, let's do what we got to do."
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exclusive. If they want to work with someone else, I'm okay with it. I don't expect to be the only person that can do music for them, but
Well, I do. Well, I
well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I do believe, and Stephen believes that I'm the right guy for the jobs. That's why we are still talking all the time and seeing how we can make this work. But, for for Steven, this is a new world. So he's still figuring out how this partnership works, what they can and can't do, and what, it's going to take some time. They've already released Zombie and Maniac, and they just look incredible in the new editions and these hard shell like book covers, and it's just totally pro from top to bottom. But it might take a couple of years before it really, digs in, and people start to really understand and get what they're doing, especially a lot of new people. But thanks to Vinegar Syndrome, they're definitely reaching a whole new audience, and that's great because that means my music will reach new people as well. And we'll see what the future holds. I mean, for sure, I'm just from Steven telling me how much stuff they've got going on. I would expect this comic book company to be around for many years.
Yeah, and I'm not going to reveal too much either, but Steven and I have talked about me possibly writing a little something for him within these new books here. But I don't talk about shit, Dave, until it's done and in the can. But I'll just, for my audience, who knows what you may see in the next year or two. I just, unless it's done, inked, over with, I don't say shit. I'll just say Steven and I have been in contact, and we'll just leave it at that. So
Well,
I am
I
looking
like to
forward
hear
to
that,
that.
and I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out for you. Congrats.
Well, we'll see. And I told him I don't want any fucking money because there's like again, if it was a huge company or anything like that, but I think, and I'm sure you probably agree with this to a certain extent. For me, for the love of the game is good enough, like especially like if it's not a project that took me 2 years in the making or something like that, I just if I can if my work can reach someone else and they're happy with it, that's kind of all I really give a shit about anymore. Like, especially the older that you get, because come on, Dave, it ain't about things, sir. It ain't about things. It's about experiences and the people you get to chat with. So I'm looking forward to that coming down the pike for sure. My question, going forward, with Vinegar Syndrome, do do you know what, that's probably a stupid ass question to see if they have a like a contract, like in terms of like within the next 2 3 years they release X amount. I probably should have edited that, but I don't. I just go off the cuff here, Dave, in terms
It's
of
okay.
but like I hope that because I hope that we have a full circle moment, because I'm sure like movies these days, I swear, are kind of hit or miss. And I would be lying to you if when I heard that Best Buy was getting rid of physical media, not only in store but on their site. I would be lying to you if I said it didn't kind of dig, like hurt my heart. And in terms of the show, I was kind of thinking, well, if the masses don't find it that important anymore, where our movies are. But then, you know how we do, we kind of take a step back, look big picture. And I'm hoping it's kind of like everything else in the world where we kind of just do this and then like vinyl, it pops back up and, it's super popular. So I'm hoping that it kind of becomes that, which is why we'll just stay the course with this fucking podcast and you stay the course with Vinegar Syndrome and Avon. And then, it'll come back around because I would argue those comics are amongst the most original shit that well, Sean, they're doing, remakes of movies and shit like that. Yeah, but they're expanding their own. I told this to Sean, and I may even have told you on the podcast that you and I did. Bottom Feeder needs to be a fucking movie. Like without question, Bottom Feeder needs to be a movie. And I hope that we can like get there. And I don't know if I probably didn't tell you this, but the director for Deathgasm, Jason Lee Howden, I kind of just took it upon myself to tell Jason that he needs to contact Sean and Jason needs to direct the Bottom Feeder, because I think that's like a match made in heaven. That's a real story. I don't know how Sean felt about that, but I know Jason was geeked, especially after I showed him the comic. But anyway,
Well, I mean, I know that bottom feeder is very important to Sean Lewis, who was the one who actually came up with the original idea. And I know that if it were possible to make a bottom feeder movie, Steven and Sean would jump at that prospect. But we all know it's easy to say let's make a movie, but man, is it a big process. And every time I talk to Steven, he's like writing 4 screenplays and doing 5 comics at the same time. I'm like, I don't know how you do the amount of work you do. So like you throw a movie in there and now you just like, you know, fucked up everything for years for everybody, because it's a huge project. So I agree with you. I would love to see a movie version of that, um, but I don't know if it's realistically going to happen. But if you could get a great director and you could get somebody who's willing to I mean, Vinegar Syndrome are now, I see they've started making their own productions. So Vinegar Syndrome may have that capability in the future to start being a film production company, and that may end up working out that way. I mean, stranger things have happened.
Well, speaking of Stranger Things, sir, if because I know my audience, that's something that they may be able to wrap their head around. Because um, let's get into your album, sir. So I kind of want to go, and I know that we're already running long, and that's what happens when you get to talking with someone that you just enjoy their company and shit. But I kind of wanted to go kind of track by track, your inspirations, putting it together, mastering it, the lot of it from inception to end. I'm even interested in who did the fucking amazing cover art for it, man. Like that, like I kid you not, from top to bottom, I'm curious. So the 4-track EP Starfield's available wherever you listen to wherever you listen to your albums right now. Go check it out. But we got Power Plan, and I got to be honest with you, I'm fist pumping my way into the gym when I play this track, sir. So where did you draw from any inspirations for this particular one?
So I was walking in the woods doing a hike, and sometimes I clear my mind, and it came to me, all right, your next solo work is going to be a 4-song EP. That much became clear to me. So I knew I was only going to do something short. I didn't want to tie myself up in the studio for years making a record. I wanted to do something that I could do faster and get out a little bit faster than Retro Inferno. So then I was like, well, what style do you want to do these 4 songs in? And I thought about it for a while, and then I just said, you know what? I don't want to do anything that sounds like it's a soundtrack to a movie. I don't want to repeat what I just did. I want to break away a little bit. So I decided to go into this as like songs. And then I set little rules for myself. And the other rule was absolutely no live instruments on this record. Everything has to be from a synthesizer. I don't want any guitar, any bass, anything that's real. That much I knew as well. And I don't know why I make these rules up, but it's just something that I do. So walking in the studio the first day, I don't exactly know what I'm going to do when I get to the studio. Almost everything I do is made up on the spot. I get an idea, I get a feeling, and then I just start hitting keys, and whatever comes out, we build off that. So Power Plan, I knew that I wanted to do something that was similar in a way to Carpenter Brute. So I would say Carpenter Brute were the first inspiration on this song, um, and then I just kind of, you know, hit the first notes and then just let it fly. Sometimes I really don't know how I do what I do. I just kind of hit notes and then they come out good, and then I'll say, all right, I want like an arpeggio, on this part, and then my producer Walt and I will work together. He works the computers and I hit the keys, and together these are the sounds that come out. So all I can say on that one is that it definitely, I had this inspiration from Carpenter Brute. I wanted to do something that sounded like modern synthwave, and hey, that's what came out.
And for all for those of you that don't know, Carpenter Brute's fucking awesome. I think I find myself playing like a lot of synth stuff, the modern synth stuff, and my girlfriend will be listening or somebody like that, and they'll be like, "This is I don't remember this from the '80s." Well, it wasn't from the '80s. It was released 2 weeks ago. That's and I love the new sounds that we are able to put together. But Carpenter Brute, fucking epic. I just want to tell you something though. The fact that you can just walk into the studio and kind of feel it out is fucking wild. Like, I mean, I kind of do the same for my show, but it's just talking. It's not fucking there, if you find something to gravitate towards when I'm talking, cool. But music, different story. The fact that you can just step in the booth and kind of just navigate your way through it, that's fucking fascinating to me, dude. And I love to hear stories like that. So here, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. I'm gonna kind of blow smoke, sir. And I told you before we wrote the show, I don't want to fucking I'm not gonna lie to you. So I hear Starfields, okay? Starfields for the first time. It's the second track on his EP. And I'm not kidding you. First time I heard it, it made me want to petition Matt and Ross Duffer and get you some Netflix money, sir, because and I know that you didn't you kind of wanted to do your own thing, but I felt there are moments in that song that I was or in that track where I was like, you know what? This would be fucking great on Stranger Things or the like, and instead of and not to say that Kyle Dixon and whoever that they're not good. I I think you're better. I think you're better, sir. I thought it was like so. First and foremost, where did the inspiration for that track come from? And then two, who is doing the vocals on Starfields?
So Starfields started out, well, I demoed it. That was one of the ones that I actually had just gone into a music store, put my phone down on top of one of their demo keyboards and started playing a little bit, hit it on my like voice memo, and then I went to the studio and I played that little demo, which if you heard it now, you'd say, I kind of understand, but it doesn't sound anything like that. But that's okay. All you need is the seed. You just need something to start with, and then everything builds off that. So I cut the initial track, and I was feeling like, okay, this is something like off the Drive soundtrack. So
Great
that
fucking movie.
soundtrack, yeah, and that soundtrack really like jump started the new synth wave, really. Like, that music and that album, really, if you trace it back, that was very influential album. So I kind of wanted to do something in that vein. There's a couple of songs with vocals on it. It was Kavinsky, I mean, I hope I'm getting that right. Uh, and it wasn't initially supposed to have vocals on it. I was just doing the keyboard part, and kind of what you hear instrumental uh, under it was really my intention for the song. But as I was working on it, I just kept feeling there should be vocals here. There should be vocals. It's just all laid out in a way that leaves perfect space for vocals. So I got a pen and pad, and I just started writing words down on the paper, nothing in order. And then I looked at the words, and they took shape into like little sentences, and it all happened very fast. I just kind of threw everything together, and I said, you know what? I'm singing this.
Oh, so it
And
was you.
that's me singing. Yes. So obviously we used a lot of vocal effects to make it sound like a robot, but believe me, it's not as easy as it might think. It's not one effect, okay, you sound like a robot. Like, there was a lot of work to not only sing it, but then to go back and you have to fine tune every word into an exact note so that there's actually melody along with it. And because when you record it, everything is in one key. and then you have to go in and you have to manually mess around with it to make the vocals into a melodic line. So it was actually a lot of work doing that. But I was really excited, and I'm really glad that I took that leap and tried something with vocals, because now I feel more comfortable. If I want to do some more vocals in the future, I know it's possible. But that song just it just it all kind of just wrote itself. Again, like this album, Starfields, as a 4-song EP, was the easiest, least stress album I've ever done. It just wrote itself. It just, every time I got in the studio, everything just flowed. And with Starfields, I also should mention Electric Light Orchestra, ELO, the vocals, and Daft Punk.
Yeah, I'm mad that I didn't take the leap because I wrote in here, I said congratulate Dave on the vocals, but I didn't want to be wrong, Dave. I didn't want you to be like, hey, no, wasn't me. It was my friend Phil, my friend Phil. He did it.
I've always been the way, like I'll try to do everything myself, but if I can't do something, I don't have an ego that says, well, it's me or nothing. I'm more than happy to get a better guitar player, better keyboard player, better vocalist if it's going to make the song better. So I'll usually give it a try and let's see if I can do it. And if it works out, great. And in this case, it was fine. But I was toying with like getting a female vocal for that song at first. And, you know, it probably would have sounded great as well. But like I said, I was there and it was working. So that's how it came out.
Wow, I absolutely love that track. But as we move on, I want to talk about my favorite track, Dave. My favorite track is Delayed Green. I probably have no doubt played that one the most. And I know, and this is just me, associating with, sounds of the past. But when I first heard that, it reminded me of escaping Lopan's lair in Big Trouble in Little China. I definitely was like, and my audience knows I thought Big Trouble in Little China is one of my favorite of all time, and I will take that to my grave. But I it was escaping Lopan's lair with a hint of Freezy, dude. It's easily my favorite track. I have played that one probably 4 times more than the other ones, and it's just I love how it makes me feel. So anything on Delayed Green that you might, well, point to one moment and be like, I had this moment with the Delayed Green, and this is the way we went.
So that song, the day we went into the studio, I was really thinking a lot about Tangerine Dream.
Okay.
And I was also, yeah, so Tangerine Dream was like, okay, like I was trying purposely not to think about John Carpenter because I've been down that road and I didn't necessarily want it. So I was kind of like, all right, this is going to be my Tangerine Dream style song. Um, and then believe it or not, I know it sounds crazy, but like there's a little bit of like Frankie Goes to Hollywood in there. And I know it sounds crazy, but like if you listen to the Frankie Goes to Hollywood original record, it is one of the best produced records I have ever heard. I mean, it is unbelievably recorded and produced. And a lot of people may dismiss it because of relaxed, song. Oh, that's just 80s garbage. But if you listen to the entire record, wow. So I had been listening to that as well. And there was a little bit of influence. So like Delayed Green was just like, I kind of knew the tempo and I kind of knew that I wanted it to be like moving. And then, once we started making it, that John Carpenter influence always sneaks back in. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that definitely has a little Big Trouble, Little China, feel to it with the 80s like drum sounds. And sometimes when you have an intention to make something, it comes out a little bit different than you expected. But that's the beauty of music. That's the fun of making music. Is it's a journey, and you don't really always know where that journey is going to lead you. Even if you say at point A, this is what it's going to be. By the time you get to Z, you've gone through a lot, and it may sound a little different. I think Delayed Green was maybe intended to be a little bit different, but that's just the way it goes, and I'm super proud of it as well. And it seems to be connecting with a lot of people who are into like Carpenter and synthwave that sounds like vintage style music. And I guess that song is the most soundtracky type song. And again, it's like I don't care, that it's the journey that's the fun, when you're sitting in a studio and tracks are all of a sudden going together that you didn't expect, and it's working, and the melody lines are working, and it's just that's the best feeling in the world for me. Like I get so happy, and then I just have to hug Walt and say, like, this is what it's all about, is when that smile comes on your face and the hair on your arms raises up, and you're like, this is making music, and this is making art, and it's working, and it's fun, and that's what I live for.
And I want to tell you, man, I want you to give yourself some more credit, because I think we as a culture, like, it's almost unfair. And I actually I feel like an asshole for bringing up, escaping Lopan's lair with Big Trouble in Little China, because just because he did it doesn't I don't know if I know how to say this. This is the joy of not putting a script together and just trying to be as organic as possible, but I feel it's almost unfair to the artist sometimes, because a synth sound is associated with something else, and I fell victim to it. Like, when I was listening to it, I'm like, oh, fucking Big Trouble. But as I've listened to it, re-listened to it over and over again, I don't say that anymore. I say, oh, fuck, that's fucking Dave, dude. That sound is Dave. So I just wanted to blow a little bit more smoke, and I don't know if our subconscious can differentiate between the two, but I'm trying. You know what I'm saying? Just because John Carpenter did synth doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that that's, well, it's John Carpenter vibes. So I just want you to get more credit than you're giving yourself, even, that it kind of went that way. And like I said, the more I listened to it, it became more of a Dave feel than I thought a John Carpenter feel. So I
Well,
just
thank you, I appreciate that.
um Night Shift. So there's the reason I don't know if you guys at home can see, but I decided I was gonna do a little Snake Plissken action, and we were just talking about John Carpenter. I Escape from New York. Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Escape from New York vibes I got from that one. And then, like I said, the more I listened to it, no, Escape from Dave Neabore vibes. That's what I'm talking about. So where did the genesis of this one kind of start?
um Night Shift actually started from a track that I just love by Busy P. So Busy P was the manager of Daft Punk, but he was also an artist and DJ. And there was this album that I got that is called BIP, Bipp, with three P's, BIP. And it's French synthwave from the 80s. And on the CD version of it, there's this bonus track by Busy P. It doesn't appear on the original record. And if you go to, YouTube or whatever, sometimes that track is not included on the BIP album. But on this CD that I got, it was just a bonus track. So everything's from the 80s, and there's this Busy P track from the 90s. Why is it there? I have no idea. But that track blew me away. And I didn't want to imitate it, but I liked elements about it. So I brought it to Walt and we played it. And I said, listen to this track. I want to do something like this. So what did we do? We took the tempo of the track and we matched the tempo. So at the very least, I'm doing something that's in that same tempo. Um, and then once you have your own beat, I just hear music over it. And that's what happened. So it started with like a reference track. I like that tempo. and then let's just see where it goes from there. So that's how it happened. I really like just made it up right there on the spot. And once I did that kind of main melody theme, I was like, oh, this is just working. And then I kind of, again, just make things up. And then when you return to the studio the next time and you're saying, all right, let's, now the dust is cleared, let's see what we did, let's revisit it and let's polish it up and let's arrange it and let's add something here and add something there. That's how the tracks are born. And it's that first day, what I call the demo. I mean, I call it demo, but I'm making the record. But the first day is really just getting all the ideas out, and then you start sifting through them and finding out what's working and what's not working, and then adding to it, and then the track is born. So it's really getting going is the hardest part. Once you're actually moving along, it's all fun because you're just adding tracks and fucking with it and playing with it and making it sound good to you. But that's how that track was born. And honestly, like, to me, it's the best sounding track on the record. It's very punchy and it's so simple that, like, there's just a lot of air to it. So I really liked the way that one came out. And I thought it would be a great, like, wind up to the record, just to have something what I would consider more poppy.
And there's an epicness to it, sir. Much like Delayed Green, it feels big. You know what I'm saying? It feels really big. And I don't think people understand just how hard that is to do when it's you and you're like I mentioned before, kind of figuring out where this song is going to go on the spot. I truly hope that my audience appreciates just how difficult that is. And yet another one knocked it out of the fucking park, sir. Um, Couple things I wanted to ask you before we got out of here. Of course, we fucking ran long. I can't stay on time to save my fucking life, man. Especially
It's
when you're.
okay.
I hope I'm not keeping you. I hope you're not. You like, God damn it, Sean. I was supposed to be out of here 25 minutes ago. What the fuck you doing?
No, I'll let you know. My studio time is 4 o'clock, so we're good.
Okay, so a couple things before I let you go. So, and I know that we talked about it kind of at the top of the episode, but I always like to kind of reiterate. So, first and foremost, the tour is soon. You said were we looking at May for when we go back on tour again?
Well, we're going back next month for a quick weekender, couple shows in Europe, just as a kind of warm up, we'll call it, or whatever. And then May is where the real big shows start, the touring starts. So I will be in Europe at this point, almost the whole month of May.
Fucking awesome. Now, I don't mean to be a toxic fan, Dave. I don't mean to be a toxic fan, with the exception of the work with Vinegar Syndrome that's already in the can and already done. Do we have any more fucking albums planned, sir? I need more Starfields, and I need more. Do we have anything around the corner that you're kicking around, with the exception of Zombie? And what is it? Diva? Is it what?
Eva Jackson. Yeah.
Eva Jackson? Yeah.
So at the moment, I have not begun work on a new solo record, but I am going to. My plan had always been to do a record, to do an EP, to do a single, something special, and then wind around and start a new full length record again. The problem is once I make that commitment and start, we're talking years from now. It's not possible to make a record the way I do faster. It's just not possible because I don't have, even though I'm on a label, Cadabra, who the recordings themselves are really on me. They're really distributing it and promoting it, but they're not like Dog Eat Dog's label where they're giving us a budget to make a record. Here it's more like, I just give the final product. So when it's on me to make the music, in order to you know, do it for the least amount of money possible and the most amount of studio time, I've got to stretch it out over a long time. And then even when you finish making a record, just to get the record on vinyl takes another like 6 months or longer. So the process of making records and then getting that music out in the way that I like to do it is very time consuming. So I don't know what I'd say. You're going to hear Diva Jackson for sure soon. You're definitely going to get a beautiful zombie record one day. And I'm hoping to release a single that's solo Dog Eat Dog. I mean, sorry, solo Dave Neabore. That was always my goal, was to do one. So maybe another vocal track, something really special later this year.
Well, sir, I am a very patient person. I am not one of these people that need instant gratification, and I will wait and salivate. And quite frankly, I think it makes it taste better. I really do. Like when you're like, "Oh fuck, Dave, we should have something, in a year or so," and I get pumped up. And to your point of the vinyl, as I was doing a little research, I wanted to make sure that my fans can go to the right place. Is there multiple places that they can get your Starfields vinyl? I know one for sure, but I didn't want to say stuff that wasn't true. So where can they actually
Oh no,
the
we're
play?
frozen.
Oh no, are we? Oh no. Well, let it go. Let it go.
Come
Frozen.
back.
Oh no. How about now?
Okay, you're back.
There we go. All right.
Okay, so right now, Starfields is available in the US at the Cadabra Records website, but soon it will be distributed by Mondo.
I fucking knew it, dude. Fuck yeah, dude.
So Mondo has been working with Cadabra now as like a kind of distribution partner, and they bought 80 copies of Retro Inferno and sold out. So I know for a fact that they bought 100 copies from Cadabra, but Mondo has so much partner labels that they work with that it takes a while for them to put it on their site. So let's just say if you wanted Starfields today, you can go directly to Cadabra Records and buy it. If you like buying things from Mondo, then I would just keep an eye on their site. Every week they do a new like partner distribution. And when they get to Cadabra, you're going to see Starfields in there. That's it. Then in Europe, it's available through Silowave, which is it's a little more expensive because they have to import everything from the U.S., but it's a UK based distribution company, Silowave with a PS. They can get it there, or they can listen on Spotify or YouTube. So plenty of ways to hear it. If you can buy it, oh, there's a CD available as well. I forgot. For those like me, I listen to music in my car mostly, and so I love everything on CD. So there is a CD available as well.
I am going to be a child right now, and I'm going to put you on the spot. So I'm going to get the vinyl album, Dave, and then I want to send it to you so that I can have yet another signed item from you. And the reason why I put you on the spot, you can't say no to me in front of the fans, Dave. You can't.
Hey, I, I, Sean, for you, I would do anything. So you just,
Oh, stop it. You stop. No, for you, I would do it. That's why I keep this relationship going. You're just a good dude, Dave. You're just a fucking good dude, man. And your talent is off the fucking charts, sir. Off the fucking
it's
charts.
it's passion. It's passion. I tell you, whatever it is that you do, if you love it and you wake up in the morning and you think about music and movies every single day of your life, and you got, look at all this stuff. I mean, all of this stuff is why I have so much passion. And when it's all up here, you got to get it out, because it's like I don't have anybody to talk to about it. So making music is my way to like express my passion for music and movies. And really, that's what it is. And I really truly believe it's not just about talent, because I might have some what you would call talent, but it's really all just kind of problem solving. I want to make music. How do you do it? Well, let's figure it out. So I truly believe if you're just passionate about something so much, anything is possible regardless. And too many people say, I can't do that, or I don't have talent. Well, you can make talent, you can learn talent, and I just feel like at this point in my life, I there's just not enough years left to waste. So, I've got to get all this out of me. So, you're going to see me making music not to fulfill, the fans or the listener, but it's really for me. It's my therapy, and it's for me to deal with my passion, my love, my influence, and it's my way of paying back and also leaving something behind. If I don't have kids, I got my little musical babies that I leave behind, and those things last forever. And even if it's 50 years from now, somebody might be digging and find a Starfields record and be like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And that's what gives me the drive. That's what keeps me going.
Well, I had this nice, cute little closer that I was gonna do before you left, but I gotta be honest, the passion statement, I don't edit this show, so we're just gonna leave that. That's the closer. You talking about passion, sir, because it is. I agree with you. That's all this shit behind us that we have on our walls. That's literally what it comes down to. The reason why I do this show, as much as I fucking fuck around at the beginning of the show and say, "Oh, I hate doing this show," and blah blah blah. One, it's just to get a laugh for starters, but two, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love this shit, And so I'm gonna keep you're the outro, sir. I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna tell them where they can link with you and get your stuff. And sir, thank you so much for coming on again. I know that we are going to continue to stay in touch because I agree. It's our passion that kind of creates this relationship, and
Yeah,
not only that, but holds them together. So yeah,
I agree. And Sean, thank you, for recognizing all that stuff and doing what you do. And we all know none of this stuff is for the money. It's all for the connections and being able to share a common love of movies, horror, music. I don't care if it's video games or whatever you have. If it's something that's important to you, you need an outlet, and you provide that outlet not only for you, for your fans, for your listeners, and for me. And I appreciate that, and you bringing me into your world. And you never know, if it's just one person who sees it and connects with it, it's worth doing. That's why I never say no to any type of promotion or anybody that wants to talk. I'm a yes man, because I understand that it's not about the masses. Sometimes it's just about reaching that one or two people. That means just as much to me.
I agree with you, dude. I will never start saying like and subscribe ever in my shows. It is you come here because you want to be here because you this is your shit. This is the stuff that you vibe with. So, Dave, thank you so much. I'm gonna give you one of those. We will talk
Sean,
soon, sir. We will talk soon. I cannot wait to have you on. In fact, when we do Diva Jackson, like hopefully I can wrangle you for in a limitless time so we can just kind of go ape shit with it. So I'm looking forward to that, sir.
I'm there for you when you need me. Thank you, Sean. I wish you all the best.
Take it easy, sir. We are going to
Thanks,
get
brother.
Dave out of here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is he not just he's the real deal, guys. The real deal. It's very very few times do I get to talk with my guests and uh I guess truly get to um have a good time. Like it's not it at a certain point it's not yes, it of course it's about what we're talking about. You know what the episode's about, his album and everything, but I think very few times do you get this opportunity to share this love of the game that we all have, and I know a lot of you guys listening. That's why you're here, and honestly, that's why I continue to do the show for you guys. So, as much as I fucking bitch, I promise you, I do it because I love it, and I do it because I love you guys, and that's how we that's what we do. And like he said, if I can just one person says, hey, I learned something, or hey, you entertained me here, or Dave said this and I found that profound, then that's it. That's all it's about. So, oh, you know what that means. It's time to get out of here. You can find Dave on Instagram, Dog Eat Dave. I will have this episode up soon here. Ella Cinema coming back with more episodes. It's just, you know, stuff that I want to talk about. You don't need to hear me talk about Marvel. Starfields can be found anywhere. Ella Cinema, Dave Neabore, Dog Eat Dave, Starfields. Are we gone?